Yeah,
Ooh.
so do I. I do that here.
Yeah, I totally forget. I'm like, okay.
Well,
Tech
welcome to
genius.
Arcadium, good sir.
Thank you. That was a great tournament. It's nice to actually compete again. Actually felt pretty good. That
Excellent.
adrenaline rush.
Nice.
JN, you threw the game. We all know that.
No way. That Chun match, I hate Chun, man. Her jump short is ridiculously stupid.
Yeah.
Alex isn't gonna be happy, man.
It's fine. It's all good. All right. So what was your question again, Toshin?
You want to know the history of?
Oh, I had no question. I think
Level Up.
everybody was going to tell you like a story or something. I don't know.
Well, no,
I
but
asked, are you and Alex? I asked, are you and Alex co-founders of Level Up?
Yes. So here's the story and how it happened. So 7 years ago, actually 8 years ago, I guess, when Street Fighter 4 was announced. Right. This is like when I was going to arcades. I thought to myself, okay, so I've been out of the scene for a little bit, in a couple of years, and how can I get back to doing what I used to do, which was capture tournament footage and posting it on the internet for people to see. Let me go back even further. So back in the arcade days during Golfland, pretty much I competed, but I wasn't getting good as fast as other guys because I really took care of school, job, and stuff like that. So I'm like, you know what? So I'm going to arcades like every freaking weekend. What can I do to really help the FGC? So went out there, spent I think it was like 900 or something on a camcorder, and decided to just capture footage from Golfland tournaments. And from there, that went on to SRK, and really, it spread the word on the SoCal players, but also what Golfland is. So that Golfland became kind of like the hub of we need to go here to play. So players in like San Diego, NorCal come down and play, and that's also where I met Wizard, Valle, Watson, and all those old school guys. So I did that for a couple years, and then school took over.
a quick question.
Yeah.
How did you get those videos out into the public during that time?
So pretty much, you guys remember the Moss? The Moss sticks.
Yeah.
They created an a board that actually plugged into the JAMA connection and pretty much passed through, so you can still play the game, but also in that it also took the RGB, converted into composite video or S video essentially.
Okay.
And so I got that video.
Yeah, because there was no capture card at that time, right?
That is correct. That's correct. No capture card. It was pretty much that Moss board was a lifesaver to get footage.
Well, it was either that or record with the camera.
Yeah, which I didn't like. I always try to go for the highest quality when it comes to footage, right? I mean, hand cam is cool and all, but you hear all the stupid background noise of the other arcade machines.
Right.
It's give me direct. This is how it's supposed to be. So once I got the footage, this is on tape, by the way. It wasn't digital. I mean, it was like digital tape, but I had to
VHS?
8mm tape.
Oh.
So back then we didn't have SD cards on none of that stuff. Right.
Right.
So once I got, I don't know, like 5-6 hours of footage, I literally had to go home and play the entire tape to capture the footage through my capture card. So yes, 6 hours recording.
Yeah, the good old days. Oh man.
6 hours of getting tape onto footage. Yeah. So then I got that, encoded it. I'm like, where do I put this? So I talked to the Cannons and the Wizard, and they said, well, we can host on SRK, and so we did that. That's pretty much where I got I got access to an FTP, put all the footage up there. And back then, remember, web space and web bandwidth was not cheap, right? So every time you put a video up there, it ups the traffic, and then the Cannons had to pay like out the wazoo for bandwidth.
Oh, that's crazy. And
Yeah,
obviously
so
uploading that wasn't just, that wasn't a half an hour, upload, right?
Correct. Yeah, it took forever to upload. I had to go to a friend's house who had not dial-up, but something else. It was.
Was that DSL?
Yeah, it was kind of like
still DSL or something.
Yeah, it was DSL
Like
back then.
ISDN or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and guess what? I uploaded at like 3 megs.
Did you have to go to those internet arcades to do it?
No, a friend had a faster connection than I did. I mean, at home I was on dial-up. It was 0.001 megs up or whatever. It took forever.
Right.
But he had DSL, and thanks to him, we always meet every weekend to watch like the Laker game. So I was like, hey, can I borrow your connection so I can upload these videos? And remember, we had floppy disk back then, right, which only held 1.44 megs or whatever it was back then.
Right.
But
1.44, yeah.
with the invent of the zip disk, I know you guys remember zip disks. Zip disks were like the shit, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about,
Omega for life.
yep, iOmega 100 megabit disk. Like, yeah, I can hold the whole tournament on one disk and upload that. Yeah, it was nuts, man.
It was premium at that point.
Yeah, so I spent a lot of money just getting footage because that's what really mattered. We always hear the stories, but why don't we see real footage?
Right.
And that's kind of what I did. So kind of fast forward back to 2008 when Street Fighter 4 was announced. I said, let me do the same thing. So I had the idea. I'm like, how do I do this in a way where it really reaches a lot of people? So when Street Fighter 4 went into arcades, everyone was playing that. And back at that time, I was like, okay, it's not in console yet. I don't want to kind of go to arcades a lot and do the same thing. I want to find a better way of doing it. And then they announced, oh, it's coming to console. I'm like, sweet, going to console, no problem, right?
Right.
So 2009, Q1, February, I believe, is when Street Fighter 4 came out. I'm like, sweet. Now let's figure out. I don't want to do this by myself. What can I do to get a bunch of people to do it with me? Because I can't cover all the events because I'm working. Just finished school, all that stuff. So I get wind of Alex Valle. He's doing training sessions for Street Fighter 4. Because obviously us old guys, yeah, you guys, young guys don't know how to play fighting games. We got to train them and blah, blah. So I visited him at one of his training sessions, which was like a LAN cafe or something. And then I just kind of talked to him like, hey, what's your goal? What's your idea here?
Mm-hmm.
Say, I just want to teach these new cats how to play Street Fighter. I'm like, great, cool, no problem. So eventually, his training sessions migrated to a garage, and which was, I can't remember when that was, but it was also 2009. It was like everything happened a lot. It was really quick, super fast. And the garage was at a friend of ours named Shigo BMX. So that's kind of where it happened, and then eventually it just fell on Wednesdays, and that's kind of where the birth of Wednesday Night Fights was. So I'm like, okay, so the garage is really close to where I live, and I'm like, let me stop by and kind of see what's going on. So then that's when I said, hey man, man is talking to Alex. Hey man, I like what you're doing here. Have you ever thought about doing it on a grand scale? I'm talking about putting this stuff out there for people to watch your training sessions, your tips, because we have a lot of knowledge, experience to share with the world. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And I also met a cat named AJ Papa back then. He was working for GYT at that time, and he brought his streaming equipment, was streaming some matches and everything. I'm like, okay, streaming. So streaming was also in its infancy at that time, but it was also getting a lot of traction. All right, so I'm like, okay, streaming.
Was that
versus
was that
what
just
year
in the
was
TV?
this?
No, we did on Ustream to start. Ustream.
Was it Ustream? Are you sure?
It was
Wow.
Ustream. It was Ustream.
It was Ustream.
Yeah, so Ustream was like the platform we were using back then. I think Justin TB was just starting.
Yeah, it was really early.
Yeah, super early, and so we did Ustream for a while. And then I saw that, I'm like, streaming, that's actually interesting. We can do live production.
Right.
So after talking to AJ and Alex, I'm like, hey, I have an idea. Why don't we put together the three of us and do this on a more structured format? So this comes back to the idea I had back in 2008 about forming a group to get footage. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, okay, this is for real now. So I went in and said, I'm gonna make a business. Let's just start a business. And this is what the goals are. You do event production, you do video production, and you provide that service to anybody who needs it. Right? That was the vision. That was the goal. And those two, they were on board, AJ and Alex. And they said, yeah, let's do it. So I started looking up how to run a startup. At the same time, at work, I was taking courses on how to be a manager, and I also had friends who worked business before, learning from them, and really bring my experience as not just an engineer, but also learning how to be a manager, dealing with people at work, and really transforming that into something I can apply towards my new startup.
Right.
And so then after, I think a couple months, we went to another event, which is a house event. It was called House of Cicada. Right. This is where we met the other 4 founding members of LevelUp, but we didn't form it yet. So we went to the house, played some Street Fighter, did everything, and we saw that they were streaming too. I'm like, oh, well, let's see.
Oh wow.
Well, I got one guy named AJ Papa. He's streaming, and then I met Frank Reyes. He's still in the company. He was streaming too, and at this time, Frank Reyes was the only one who was streaming in high def. I'm talking about 720, right? 720 60p.
Right, that was obviously the highest, the shit.
That was the shit right there, right? You know, back then AJ, he was still streaming, I think, still kind of standard def, not quite there yet until we got new equipment.
It was still 480.
Yeah, it was 480, right?
Okay.
Good call. So after we saw that, we're like, damn, we can do this in 720. Hell yeah, let's do it. So the 3 of us plus the other 4 guys, Brian, Mike, Walter, and Frank, they're like, hey, you want to join our company or join this company idea that we have? And then 7 of us co-founded LevelUp. That was the story. This all happened in 2009, by the way. So you're talking about February all the way to November, right? So once everybody came as a group, I'm like, okay, now it's time to take it to the next level of seriousness.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking into forming an LLC. So I started looking into that. At the same time, still having the guys do what they're strong at. So Alex still engaging in the community, still playing Street Fighter with people. AJ, still doing the streaming thing with Frank. Brian, web dev, photography. Mike was our social media guy, and Walter was our financial guy. So I gave everybody roles, right?
Right.
We had a couple meetings at Brian's house. I said, we need a name for the company. And at that same night, we came up with LevelUp, the logo design, and pretty much the company goals.
Right.
So yeah, it was a long night, but yeah, we just sat there and just banged it out. Like, this is what we're called. We've been called LevelUp, and I was trying to figure out how do we distinguish ourselves from the term level up, right? It's just so common. Well, that's kind of when I think Brian, he hit control and hit the backslash button, and now you see that pipe between level and up, the 2 words, right? I'm like, hey, that looks really fucking good. Well, how else can we change it? Well, I asked Brian, can you make a cut in the 2 L's? To make it sharper, right?
Right.
So then we had the LevelUp logo. I'm like, hold up, there's more. I need color. I need something that really shows that we are like a prime or premier service. And the color gold was decided on, and I think we went to like different iterations of what color gold it would be. And once we hit the right one, that's it. That's the logo you see now. And so we did that, and it just went crazy from there. In February 2010 is when we officially became an LLC, right? We did paperwork, got all that stuff done. Once we got that folder officially studying us in California as LevelUp LLC,
right,
that was it. And from there, it's seven co-founders. Unfortunately, over time, people dropped off, and now it's only me, Alex, and Frank.
Okay.
So that's pretty much the story and how we formed. And from there, we just did events. Alex had ideas. I turned his ideas into something real. Because at that time, again, not all the guys knew what it meant to be a startup. So my job was literally to create the foundation, build the infrastructure, the processes, best practices, and really train the guys on what it means to be a businessman. I'm still training them over time, still advising them till this day. But it's kind of how we got to where we were. And it's amazing to see the growth in the guys, and growth in myself as well. I brought in external people who actually built businesses to help, give us advice as well. So a lot of it fell on my shoulders to build the business, and that's what you guys don't see, right? You guys out there only see the events, the end results of it.
The
But
visual,
behind the scenes, there's like a ton of stuff that goes behind, and so many stresses, so many headaches. You know, even amongst the partners, you know, this is how any business is, any team is, you know, and just getting to understand business fundamentals was a challenge. So yeah.
How important would you say that? I mean, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like each and every one of the 7 of you guys obviously had a specific role and a specific passion. How important was twofold, was the individual passion for the ideas that you guys, you know, brought forth? I mean, was it, you know, one guy with a vision, or did everyone come together and have that same vision? Or, you know, and how important was that versus people just saying, hey, let's have a business and let's make money and all that? I mean, it seems like the success came from the passion of doing and accomplishing what you guys wanted to accomplish, as opposed to just, hey, let's have a company and make money.
Yeah, so at first it wasn't about money at all, right? It was about maturing the new generation of Street Fighter players and in general fighting games. You know, so that 2009 year, it was all about us doing fighting games, trying to make the community better, trying to broadcast FGC to the world, right? And that really drove us to where we were. And then earlier I mentioned that a couple members dropped off. That's because it became real. Is because we can take this passion and turn it into a legitimate business and really provide structure to something that people are so new to. Like if somebody wanted to stream, they don't know what to do. But we had that knowledge, right? We had that structure already. So when things started to get serious, when we got an LLC, that's when people started dropping off. I guess
that represented the commitment, right?
Right. It was the commitment. Like now it became serious. Like I know you're passionate about it, but are you really passionate about it? Like, do you want to invest time into it?
Yeah.
So invest is what you're trying to say.
Right. It's like I know you guys like playing games, right? But if you're really behind the goals of building FGC, this is how we're gonna do it. But yes, it did take everyone's individual strengths. That's what I had to do. Is while I dealt with everything and had strengths in a lot of areas, you know, my guys at that time, like Alex, he knew about fighting games. He was very strong, ex-champion. He was a community figure. You know, those are the strengths I utilized from him, and that's kind of why we appointed him as the face of the company, because he had it.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, I mean that's who people see when they see Level Up Live. When I first went to Wednesday night fights at Super Arcade, you know, Alex Valle, he was the guy. That was all I knew as far as, you know, who Level Up Live was. And he obviously, you know, had and has that passion, and that's his role. That's amazing.
Yeah, and you know, that passion, wow, you know how FGC is considered raw, grassroots and stuff.
Sure.
I had to really channel, you know, that his image in a way where it benefits everything, not just, you know, the core. It's, you got to be marketable, and you had to teach him how to speak business, and but as well as keeping it casual, right? So that was my part in keeping him to be who he can be who he is, but he has to tone down some of the brashness. And at that time, there was a lot of issues coming up, right?
Sure.
There was including women in fighting games, or, you know,
Sure.
as fighting games got more face time, it's like the language had to be changed up a little bit. So, you know, if you remember back then, a lot of the criticisms we had was, man, Level Up is too stale, it's too professional, too clean.
Really?
Well, that was built by design, right? Because when you have an external client or a person that looks at your product, what do you want them to see? You want them to see, yeah, man, fuck yeah.
Right. Do you
trash,
want them
right?
to see the trash talk and the inappropriateness and God knows what goes on in chat, or do you want to see the professional product that you guys are putting forth.
Right. And it's also about, what do you want people to know you as, right? Do you want them to see you as, guys who are just guys, or is it a product that someone can stand behind?
Right.
All right. So a lot of debates, discussions between the partners and I was, this is what we have to do to get our name out there, But yeah, Frank and AJ continue doing their stream stuff. I said, you guys be creative. I will chip in and work with you and see what you guys are doing. And Brian, he was great at doing web dev and photography. So I had pretty much every avenue covered where I can come in and say, here's your strengths. Let's figure out what you need to work on and go from there. And from there, we built this great foundation. The guys finally understood what it meant to actually get it in writing.
Yeah.
Do a proper handshake, following up with your people, and how to engage the community. Because back then Alex was more about Street Fighter, and then there was other games out there as well. So I had to really tell him, hey, there's other community out there. You're a face. You need to start engaging them. Right. So engaging the audience, engaging the people was also one of the goals of Level Up. You engage people online through the stream. How do you do it? Come up with some creative ways. And offline, engage the companies by just talking to them, see what they want to do. People always want to be heard. As human beings, we always want to have some sort of voice. And the more you suppress somebody, the more they shy away from you. Right. So you give them opportunities to talk about their ideas, how they feel about FGC, then it opens up a whole new world for you to look at.
Yeah.
So getting out of the bubble is what was important. Don't get stuck in the FGC bubble. Look at it from a broader perspective on how you can help not just the community. How do you help the nation, the world, understand what this community is about?
Right.
And that's from there, every year it was growing for us. Of course, growing pains. I mean, it was never that great. Some months of the year, and some years were kind of like, but some years like super great.
Sure. I mean, there will always be challenges, and man, yeah, that's as you're talking, and I'm also thinking back to everything that I've done on a much smaller scale, and I'm like, I got to rethink some of this stuff. But what you just said right now about listening is a human trait. Is we would rather speak than listen, and it's so difficult to listen to what other people have to say, especially when you are very passionate about what you want. But that would be the best advice that I'm taking from this conversation, to listen to other people's opinion and their ideas of the same thing that you're dealing with at the moment. Wow.
Yeah, that's right. It's nowadays, if you see how people act online, it's they type first before thinking, right? It's always,
sure,
here's my opinion. It's about me. In the at that moment, short term, that may work for you, but in the
they think before they act.
They act before they think.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We all do. We all. I mean, I know I do. Shit.
Yeah, we do. And believe me, I've been through one moment during Level Up when, you should have thought before you spoke. So there's a bunch of humbling moments that people need to see. Those humbling opportunities out there is, yes, you can say your opinion, but in the long run, when it's on the internet, that's on the internet, right? It's gonna affect their,
get it off than it is to put it up there.
Yeah.
Right. It's you go, you say something, now it's on the internet, you try to get a job, hey, what's your social media accounts? Let me look it up. That's what people do now.
Oh, yeah.
To hire.
Of course.
You don't want that stuff out there. That's why every time Alex or one of the other guys says something like, you need to delete that tweet as soon as possible, or you should not say that, it's because I'm thinking about long term.
Right. It's not even for the moment. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's not about the image of Level Up. It's about you guys too, right? Our perception and how people look at us. It's ours to lose. It's ours to build as well. So how you go about it is what will define your character in the future, right? If you're just gonna be this loudmouth all the time, good luck trying to get success out of that unless you build a character and that's all you want to live by, right?
Yeah.
I always tell people be true to themselves. What do you want to do? Make that a reality. Don't try to copy people. Just be yourself.
Right.
You're gonna find something eventually, right? You can't say, I want to find a quick solution and that'll be it. You can't do that. Life in general is just learning all the time. If you feel like you're stuck, find a way to get unstuck. Go ask for help. It's okay to ask for help, right? It's okay to state your opinion, but also, like you said, try to listen, right? Don't just don't have somebody talk to you, and in the end, it's them just talking to a wall. It's like, okay, yeah, okay, I heard you. Like that doesn't help.
Right.
Being well-rounded also helps too. That's why you always want to learn what you can. You fail, it's okay. I'm telling you, it's okay to fail. It's how you get up. It's common. It's like a common phrase, right? How you get up,
Sure.
Defines your character. And it's
And
challenges.
very easy example of that is playing fighting games. You're not gonna get any better if all you're doing is playing people you win against. So you have to fail in order to learn what you did wrong and move on and acquire new skills that you didn't have before.
Right. And you can't be on cloud nine all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When you fall, you learn something new in life. You learn how either to improve on it or not do it again. Right? It's kind of like when kids, hey, don't touch the hot pot. They're, oh, I'll do it anyway. Yeah, you got to burn. What happens? That's you learn something, right? Best analogy.
For sure.
Yeah, and let me see. I'm trying to think of some humbling moments when we had. Let's see. Okay, great one. Great example. Like I said, 2009 was great. 2010 we were hot, doing production and everything. And guess what? We got called to do Evo 2010, do the stream.
Are you sure you want
year?
to tell this story?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, I'm just messing.
Why not? Why not, dude? Because it was important. It's important to tell a story because it really defined a lot of characteristics about myself, and then what I saw, what was happening. Right? It's okay. So 2010, we get called to do the stream. Ustream was still the platform. Technology, there was new capture cards coming out. We didn't have money to buy real cameras, so we busted out with webcams. Okay. So we essentially built a rig that can do 1, 2, 3 webcams and a game feed, right? That was like insane, right? Because back then, motherboards, you can only put like 2 webcams on a USB bus or something like that. So I pushed the limits, right? So we built this new rig, tested it the couple days before Evo. It ran perfectly for 12, 14 hours. Like, okay, we're good. We're set.
Right. No lag, no slowdown, no crashes.
Yeah,
nothing.
no lag, nothing.
Right.
Like, it was perfect, right? I was working on graphics into the 3 a.m. Morning, doing all that stuff, getting ready for Evo. All right, so we get there, set up, start streaming. Out of nowhere, random driver crashes in the video card. At that time, we didn't know what was going on, so the windows would just freeze randomly.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, AJ was doing the technical directing, and he would just hard reset the PC.
Okay.
And I think it happened maybe five times per day or something. So then come finals day, Sunday, we're like, all right, pray to the streaming gods this doesn't happen as frequent. And it happened like maybe 2 times. But the key moment that really got us, last match of Street Fighter, last round, thing freezes.
Oh, like grand finals, final.
Yep.
Final, damn.
All right, so we're like, okay, there's still video, and I'm like, okay, is it working or not? So AJ, he decides to do a hard reset at that time. I'm like, oh crap, why?
But you weren't sure if it was still recording,
right?
Even though it had like partially crashed and you guys couldn't see. right?
Yeah, so the Windows crashed or froze, seemingly froze,
Right.
but there was still video on the screen. And then AJ decided to do the hard reset, and then it just took everything down. Big screen went black.
Oh my god! Oh
My
shit! Everything.
the stream went down. So this, remember, we're thousands of people watching this
Sure.
at home, hundreds in the venue,
Yeah.
and my heart just sank. I mean, it hit the ground. I was almost at tears. I was shaking. The team probably felt the same way. So yeah, it was like, wow, dude. And at that Sunday, I just couldn't speak. I was flabbergasted.
Right.
I didn't know what was going to happen. Had no idea what people were saying.
Right.
But yeah, 2010, everybody started shitting on LevelUp. Everybody. Like, these guys suck. Can't believe this happened.
Right. They ruined everything. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Never gonna hire LevelUp. They're trash. Blah blah blah. Right.
Right.
So I had a hard time dealing with it.
I mean,
so
anyone would at this point, unless you're a complete psychopath and feel nothing. Even then, you're gonna, at least be pretending to cry because you knew you fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So wow.
Oh yeah. No matter what people will say to you, like, hey, it's okay. Come on, dude. Really, honestly, it's what people see.
Right.
And what happened, right?
Right.
So that moment, that summer, July, man, it sucked. That's kind of when I started to consult my friends who were business advisors. Luckily I knew one at my company I was working at the time. I'm still at that company, but she helped me. She walked me through it, and she brought in one of her friends who was also a business advisor to help us kind of come back from this somehow.
Right.
And the lesson that I learned from all this, and I don't know about the other guys, but I'm speaking for myself, is that we were in cloud nine for such a long time. I think we were at a moment where some of the guys could have said, yeah, we're the shit, and then that happened because we had to learn to be humble, right? I don't know, it was fate, God, or whatever. They said, all right, you guys are on a roll, but maybe some of you guys are just taking it, like, how can I say it? Maybe getting an ego from it. And then
Sure. I mean,
God said,
human.
nope, sorry. Nope, you still got more to learn in life. This, you can't be on top forever. So yes, we went from the top all the way down to the bottom, and it sucked.
Sure.
But the lesson was, you got to be humble. You have to learn how to not think that you're the best all the time, right? And while I wasn't really a face person. I wasn't really showing off and stuff like that. I just think in general, as the whole company, I think we might have been heading towards that as a collective, and it was rough. Right. So it took us several months, maybe I think even the remaining of 2010, just to come back. And another lesson I learned was, hey, stop dwelling on the past and move forward. It happened. You can't change the past, right? You're not the Flash. You can't go back in time and change it. It's you deal with it, figure out how to not let it happen again,
right?
And continue doing what you're good at, which is doing event production. Let all the haters talk shit. Even at that time, I think because of this Evo 2010 moment, other guys like Spooky and other guys who were streaming saw this opportunity and said, I'm going to do something better, or I'm going to be better than LevelUp, right? So I don't want to take credit for their success. I'm just saying it provided an opportunity for them to say, hey, they fucked up, or they screwed up.
Right.
Maybe I can do better. And it's cool. Competition is healthy, and it's okay.
No, I mean, success comes usually out of the ruins of either your own mistakes or other people's, and I mean it's a good opportunity for everyone. And but the great thing is, not to jump ahead, but the great thing is you guys are today who you guys are today, in part because of that horrendous catastrophe that happened back then. That
is correct. I still think about it now and then, and just think about how we came back from it, how I helped the other guys also come back from it, and also how I grew myself to not dwell in the past. Because for me, I'm a guy who kind of strives for excellence all the time, like almost perfection. Where if I screw up, I'm gonna be like, damn man, I screwed up for like an hour, just like I could have done something different, blah blah blah. But I've learned over time to minimize that time where I dwell on the past and say, this is move forward. Right. There's still events in life where I'm like, oh my gosh, WTF, why, but again, we're all human, right? It's how we deal with it.
We all have traits that come very easy to us in life, and that we keep repeating or we keep focusing on. And I think part of growing and becoming better is learning to control those sort of that overdrive. And become more, more rounded, so that you're not always, controlled by those elements, of your being that are constantly screaming at you. Whereas there's so many other parts of you that are just dormant. So yeah, it's part of life.
Yeah, the anger and disappointment can overtake a lot of your other qualities. And I'll tell you, sometimes when I would get angry at myself or angry at something, man, I would turn into Punisher. I'm talking about face, serious, let's go punch a punching bag or break a wall.
Oh shit, you don't seem like that kind of guy.
Like I said, yeah. Well, like I said, I grew a lot, right? It's been 7 years since I started LevelUp. I've been doing my career job since 2004. I just kind of dated myself when I graduated. But yeah, I don't see it myself, but a lot of people always tell me, who know me for a while, said, "Man, you grew up a lot," and not just in the we call it the traits and wisdom and stuff like that, but like overall as a person, they seen the change, the difference. Right? I have guys I've known since grade school who are like, "Hey man, you're different, dude," but this is like a good different.
Right.
And it's always surprising to hear that, because as a person, you're always your worst judge, right? You judge yourself the worst. And
we usually only see the mistakes and the issues and the problems and the stuff that needs to be changed.
Right. And it's been a great journey, and I think this journey is still going to keep going as long as fighting games are still there, as long as there's people for me to teach and pass down my experiences. It's gonna go for a while. It's, if like you said, you've been to Wednesday Night Fights, you met Alex, but then you also see now new staff. I'm teaching them how to do production. Because as one person, I can't do it all. I can't always be in 20 places at a time.
Yeah.
So I always welcome anybody who wants to learn about business, production, life, wisdom. Just send me a message. I'll share whatever I can to help you out.
And you guys are going to continue to grow. I mean, because like you just said earlier, you're going to keep doing this as long as, there is an FGC, there is an interest in fighting games. And, sure, Capcom, they make minor mistakes here. There's always going to be people that complain about, Street Fighter V, and, I'm sure it'll, moving forward as well. But I think from just basic numbers that you don't even have to research, the FGC is on up and up, and video games in general are only growing and growing, and I think we're gonna be in the on this ride for the rest of our lives, and so on.
Definitely agree. Other outside of fighting games, I've done Halo, Dota 2, card-based games. I've done white label productions where you don't see the LevelUp name, but we're behind that production.
Okay.
And gaming is just nuts. It's when I talk to these clients, they just want to get their product coverage, their exposure, and as long as companies need somebody to help them do that, we'll be there. I'll be there to talk them through it and really plan it from beginning to end. Like, if one day you came out and said, "Hey, I want 4 cameras set up, pro resolution, whatever," I'm like, "Okay, let's do it. Why not?" Right? It's I'm making someone's dream come true,
Right.
or someone's goal come true. I'm like, yeah, that's the joy I get out of it. You learn something, or I made your product look cool, or gain exposure and really get eyes on it. I'm happy, and that's kind of why I just stay in the background. You don't see me a lot. It's my joy comes from doing stuff behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah, you're like a humble host that just sits back in the corner and watches the party, unfold in all its splendor.
Yeah, and just kind of see where find out where all the holes are, or where things can be better, or just kind of just observe, and give feedback. And people love feedback. Believe me, as much as people online nowadays don't like to hear other people's opinion. Deep down somewhere, they always want to hear how they can be better, and they might not even know it. Like I said, it takes time for that humbleness to come out, and one day when it does, there's people like me around to help you talk through it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I personally, I don't understand why it's so difficult for people to accept or even want feedback. I'm begging people for feedback all the time, and I'm not getting it. I don't know, maybe it's because we live in a culture now that where people are afraid of giving feedback or being honest because they think that you're gonna be offended and you're gonna be upset, or they're gonna look bad. I don't know, but yeah, feedback is great.
No, you hit the nail on that one right there. Is because everyone's afraid to say something because they don't want to offend somebody. All right. Society nowadays, it's just so hard to say something and not offend somebody. It's like, hey man, I am 6 feet tall. What? I'm short. Boo, that's not cool, right?
Right. How dare you remind me of my shortness?
Right. It's like that wasn't even it, So now you start seeing the change too in like comedy, right? Remember back then, comedy was like, yo, you make fun of anything. Right. Now you gotta kind of be little politically correct. Now it's like times have changed, and it's interesting in how this trend is going on. Hopefully it comes back.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. I hope the pendulum begins to swing. And I feel, honestly, that it's beginning to swing back a little bit where that's, people's skin is kind of growing a little thicker again. I could be wrong, yes. But I pray to everything holy.
I hope so. It's my business advisor, the same one who helped me through the crash of 2010. Yeah. She told me that there's a trend going on where millennials are starting to not become millennials. They're actually starting to think for themselves, work hard for what they need.
Excellent.
Where a couple of years ago, it wasn't like that. Remember, everyone wanted to be entitled to something. Right? Well, that still exists. It's getting better.
Right. You have to look at the numbers, not just who's screaming the loudest.
Right. Exactly. And she also shared another fun fact with me. Baggy jeans are coming back. Skinny jeans are starting to fade out.
Oh, thank God.
Thank goodness.
No.
You hear that, illegal account?
Well, I still have a closet.
Your knee-high capri pants,
dude,
skin tight. Time to take them off, bro. But not here. Just go home and do that.
Like you said, the pendulum. That's a great analogy. Carl, that's the pendulum will swing back and forth, and hopefully we bounce back to a time where we can actually openly talk about stuff and have friendly debates and not be like, oh man, you're gonna sue me now because I said one thing. Like, great, okay,
Right. Well, I mean, I'm partially embarrassed for a lot of the stuff that I've said on stream in general. And I've kind of created an environment here where almost a little bit of a sanctuary from the millennial snowflake mentality. And, sometimes I go a little too far and I encourage a little too far, if you know what I mean. And when you were talking about how, when you put something on the internet, it stays on the internet. I can probably, without even having to recall, I can think of probably a few hundred things that I have said or things that have been on my stream where I go, I really don't want that to be on the internet, which it is forever now, I'm sure, and on YouTube and whatever. But, so personally, my job as far as with my broadcast is to tone down the inappropriateness and harness it into an inappropriateness that will be in a few years just what people want. So
Yeah, and it's all how you construct the way you communicate it, right? So like for example, you say, okay, Wednesday night fights. Yeah, man, there's a lot of young kids here who don't know how to play Street Fighter, right? That's one way you can say it that way, where it's more negative, or you can
Right.
say it in a way where Wednesday night fights has grown to accept a lot of the younger generation who is here to learn how to play Street Fighter. They come here to belong to a community. So you said the same
Right.
thing, but it sounds a lot more positive,
right,
right? So
absolutely.
it's just how you word it, and that's kind of why you kind of have to learn how to think a little bit before you say stuff. Everyone wants to run and gun all the time, but eventually you're gonna run out of steam, and you may slip up and say something even worse, right?
Yeah, something that's just not funny at all, or not appropriate, or yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of like the story of a little bit of the story of Level Up and how we all came together and co-founded the company.
I have to say that was quite the story. That was quite the detail, and it's answered actually a lot of different questions, because I'm always curious about Level Up and just knowing, seeing Alex Valle, and I'm like, there's got to be more behind the scenes, especially just knowing 1% of what you guys do. There's so many people behind there, and I'm really happy. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna save this. We'll call it a podcast, like Asian Sensation said, and I'll have it on YouTube, and I'll be listening to this once in a while just to remind myself of.
Yeah, and I want to say a couple more thoughts to close up. Is that people who strive for like success, right? Don't look at it on the surface, right? Like, yes, it's cool to be Alex Valle, right? But that's not always sometimes what you don't want. It's not. Sorry, I said it wrong. That's not always something you want, right? It's look behind the scenes. Maybe you enjoy helping somebody become more famous, or become more how can I say it? Become better at what they do, right? And that's
I see what you're saying.
Right. It's like all the kids nowadays, they want to be like Shaquille O'Neal. They want to be like Michael Jordan. Great goal, but not everybody can be Michael Jordan, right? He was one of a kind, right? But how can you help somebody get better, to get close? That would be awesome, right? So like our current streamer, Kyobi Romy, he started off streaming. Actually, hold up, sorry, let me rewind. He started off in our garage. Didn't know jack about streaming. He didn't know what an RCA connector was. He didn't know what a capture card was. All the stuff that you and I see as simple, he didn't know, right? So over time, as he got more hands-on, more in tune with the lingo and understanding how to set things up, and so whatever I taught Alex and whatever he retained, he taught Romy. And then when Romy hit that peak or that apex of what Alex can teach him, I came in and brought a whole new level to it, right? Because all the guys and stuff now is like they only retain what I teach them to a certain degree, right? It's kind of like how you learn business, right? I can tell you all the advice all you want, but you can only retain certain things. And with Romy, he's still learning. I'm still teaching him. So a lot of the cool ideas I tell him, he'll use it, and he'll make a better iteration of it, or sometimes a more fun iteration of it. And that's how people learn. So find a passion, set a goal, but don't just set that one goal. Make a plan B, a plan C. In career planning, there's always where do you see yourself in 1 year? Where do you see yourself in 3, 5, 10 years from now? When you start thinking that and planning ahead, you'll find that you won't be as disappointed when you don't reach that first goal, right? So all you guys out there, plan ahead. Make a goal and then create the plan to get to that goal, right? And you'll find things will be a lot more satisfying when you see you have a backup plan for your backup plans and your other backup plans. And write it down. Don't keep it on in your head. You have a thought, scribble that sucker on your hand. I don't care. Write it somewhere, a napkin.
Yeah.
Tell a friend, maybe they can remember it for you.
It's very easy to forget things very shortly after you have them. That is true.
Yeah. Are you kidding? Yeah.
I hate to cut in when you say this, but since you talk about backup plans, did you want to tell them how we first met?
Oh my gosh, dude! Can you remind me? Because like Sir just said, I forgot most of it. It's when there's so much stimuli behind in the world now. It's like info here, you're on your device. Things get buried, and I'm pretty sure once you remind me, and I'll remember it.
Okay, well, I'll have to backtrack and date us a little bit more because I think it was 2009 during that July when it was my first Evo, and I wasn't even supposed to go. And young kid, I kind of knew Jimmy, but we never really met. We chatted like online through like forums and stuff. It was really informal. And everybody now has Street Fighter 4, Xboxes. The arcade stick was a big thing, and I think they were using PS3s at the time. If I'm wrong, I don't remember. And I didn't know that Evo was using PS3s, and Jimmy was good with a soldering iron apparently, and I had to get my stick modded. Do you recall?
Yeah, I totally remember now, dude. Yeah, I remember I brought my tools just in case, and you
had to talk to Toodles.
Yeah, you need to dual mod your stuff, and he didn't have time to do it, so I ended up modding the stick for you so you can play in tournament the next day. I think that's how it went.
You took the time out the Thursday night before during the party that everybody got into, and I was like, man, you don't have to do this, because I felt really embarrassed. Like you remember that, I think. And and I think at that time for me, I wasn't really a party guy, and I'm still not. I saw you, a fellow FGC person. They needed a stick to play, and I'm like, hey, I can do this in like an hour, no problem. And I did it because I didn't want your first Evo to be a disappointment that you couldn't play in, because that's a total shitty experience, right? It's your first time. I want you to enjoy yourself, and I'm like, hey, take an hour or so out of my time to mod your stick. Boom, there it is. And you enjoy that event, and your happiness is what makes me smile. And it goes for anybody who needs help, right? Yep. If I can help you, at the end of the day, if you are satisfied, if you're happy, it warms my heart. I think besides the fact that I had a good time, and we got off to a good start and stuff, it's like, I think for me, you see repeat me every year since then, and I keep telling you, like, I bring this person, I bring my friends, I try to get people who have never gone the same experience I had the first time I went. Like you said, like, you don't want it to be a shitty experience. You're going to, like, this is the big stuff, right? It's like you're leaving home, you don't know anybody, you don't know what's going to happen, and I want to let people have that experience, like, for themselves.
Yep.
You may not have you may never win like Evo or be the next Daigo, but tournaments don't have to be all about winning and losing. Like, other people like James and stuff, and other like level up people, like, just seeing people in the social experience, I think, is way bigger than just the tournament itself.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, we're gonna always have the games, right? But it's the stuff outside of that, which is really what matters.
Yeah, definitely. And you said it right. A good example was last year. I went to Evo, and I didn't go to Evo for maybe 3 years at that time.
So yeah,
it took a long time.
So
yeah, and I met almost all the old school guys. We're like, oh shit, you're still alive, right? I mean, that literally was the words, right? You're still here, and that right there pretty much made the trip. I met all the OGs, all the guys who have are fathers now, who have kids. It's like just to see us progress in life and still play Street Fighter. Like, come on now, right? It's amazing. It's kind of like how the old group of guys who sit around watching TV, like, yeah, man, remember those times, blah blah. Like, we're getting there, right? We can share the stories, and then
It's been
now,
7 years, man. Like that's a long time.
yeah, it's been a long time, and it's always fun, right? And hopefully, I have an overlapping event during Evo this year. It's kind of sucky, but if it doesn't happen, then you'll see me at Evo again. But yeah, it's like I said, when you make a person's first experience at anything happy, they're gonna share it with the world, right? It becomes a domino effect, and it's why I helped you out with that stick, and I didn't look for fame. I didn't look for fortune. It's like, just here.
I couldn't even bring you something to drink or eat at all. You're like, no, man, I don't care. Just take this.
Yeah, just, you're good, man. I don't need a drink. I did what I had to do to make someone's life happy, right?
Oh, I think we both, like you said, you grew and I grew from that. And, we're both better people from it, and that's basically what it was.
Yep.
I mean, I don't see you every Wednesday, but I'm in that little chat box on Rami's computer, and I'm 4 hours ahead of you guys. So I've got some passion left in my heart. And,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. It's just
I
what
don't ask for much. I ask for very little.
Yeah. It's what we get, the enjoyment we get out of it. Like you said, I'm not always at Wednesday fights. That's because I'm doing other stuff. I still got my career job going on, and then after that, after the 9 hours are up, straight to level up stuff and other side projects. It's now that I'm an entrepreneur, it's what I do. My time is split amongst my passions and my career, which are pretty important to me. And at some point, start working on a relationship and get that going too. At some point, I'm gonna have to scale down on things, but it's the next progression for me. It's start a family, be like Guile, right? Be a family man, dude.
Just wait until you retire and you don't have to have a job anymore, and then you can focus 50% on the FGC and 50% on a relationship. Boom.
I'm gonna teach. My plan when I retire was to teach, and at first it was gonna teach software development, but now it could be different. Now I still want to pass down my knowledge, right? And I have kids. When I have kids, I will teach them. But then I have a lot of other things that my kid may not be interested in, and I need to pass that knowledge down somehow, and that's what I want to do.
Well, the FGC is growing, and this small patch of history that I've heard right now, and I think it's multiplying every day, throughout Earth, So I think we're only looking at bigger and brighter and more awesome things in life.
Yes, sir. And just to wrap up again, I look for things past the cover of the book. The substance is the exciting part. Is where you will learn and develop. It's behind the cover. And like they said, don't judge a book by its cover, right? You really can't. You see a plain text cover, like, what is that? What's that all about? Oh, gander inside the book, and bam, you're gonna see so many cool things, and you're gonna find a lot more interest in it than that. The cover.
Basically, we're old men, and we can teach you young guys new stuff if you want to listen.
Well, damn it, you just call us old, man.
I'm sorry, but we dated each other like at least 4 times in this whole conversation, whether they know it or not.
Yeah, but but on the flip side, the young kids can also teach us new things too, and that's how we keep up with them. At the same time, if they want to catch up to us, right? It's you can learn something from everybody, whether it's positive or negative. Like if you act like a fool, I just learned how not to act like a fool, right?
Yeah.
If you're successful, I just learned something on how you became successful, right? It's every avenue. You driving to work every day is a learning lesson. damn, there's an accident. I know how to prepare for it. Or, hey, that idiot just cut in front of me. What can I do? Should I be an a-hole and chase after him, or just let it go and be safe? Right? It's things like that. You learn everywhere.
And don't get too cocky and think you got it, because that's
There
usually.
was
Oh my
always
God.
someone better than you.
Yeah.
Always.
Oh, God will strike you down once you get big-headed, man.
Absolutely.
Or whoever you believe in. It's just like, you gotta stop that, bro.
That is definitely the lesson of the night. Well, we're gonna have
That's a good
to
lesson.
cut it short here. It's 11:13 p.m. on the Pacific side of the good old America. And seriously, Jimmy, thank you very much for
sure.
story time.
Yeah, anytime you want to ask questions, even if you want to do a podcast about, hey, how do I do this, how do that, let me know and we'll set something up, and I'll try to be Mr. Q&A.
Okay. I think we have a lot of I think there are a lot of people that would love that. So yeah, and Mr. Sujana says 2:14 a.m. over on the East Coast. So
Oh, thank
But
you
yeah,
guys for listening all this time. Yeah, I mean, it really means a lot for you guys to sit down and hear what Serg, I, and Toshin have to say, Asian Pikachu as well. It's cool to share stories, and I like doing it now and then.
it's cool to listen.
I had one
Yes,
last question.
there it is. You-
Jimmy.
Glad I asked the question. Glad I
Yeah,
asked. the
no, that was
question
really
to
interesting. But
start it off.
So Legal Account has a question for you, Jimmy.
Sure.
Yeah. So I didn't know the whole history about the FGC and Evo and all that stuff. So my question is, so it's not your full-time job, but are you still in production? Is that event planning? Is that what you like your passion is in life, basically, or
Yes.
you okay? Because I heard software
Yes.
engineering too, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so by trade, my craft, and my degree is all based on software development, right? It's computer science.
Yes.
That's where my first passion was when I played games back then. It was like, oh, Atari, oh, Nintendo, I want to make games, right?
Mhm.
It turned out to be, instead of making games, how can I turn my skills that can do something and help another person or another company, right? So actually, my very first career was actually developing user interfaces for a submarine. I'm talking about government defense stuff, right? And I took my passion of creating games and just create something else, and that's where, from there on, I just created user interfaces and back-end software, middleware for other companies. Eventually, I moved on to DirecTV.
Mhm.
That's public information on LinkedIn. So but yeah, I don't really share this part of myself too much because I'm
Okay.
kind of a privacy guy. But hey, it's DirecTV was where I learned a lot of my skills that contributed to LevelUp. I built my career and LevelUp in parallel at the same time. So I was doing 2 full-time jobs, and I still am. It's like I said, I go into work 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, leave 6 or 7 o'clock at night. After that, it's LevelUp time.
Yeah.
It's what's the next event? What leads is Alex bringing in where I need to create a project plan, an execution plan? How can I make the next production better? What is currently being shown on Wednesday Night Fights? Is that good enough for me? Right. So I'm always trying to still do project planning, production, even though I'm still managing the business a lot. I still try to keep my hands in a lot of it because innovation is one of the words in our slogan. It's gaming entertainment innovation. It's how do we still stay relevant? How do we make the next big thing that someone will enjoy? So yes, I'm literally doing 2 jobs, sometimes 2.5 when I start consulting and helping other people on the side on my side projects. So yes, I don't really sleep. That's why you don't really see me on Wednesday Night Fights. It's I would love to just go there and play games a lot, but I can't. It's time spent doing other things. So that's kind of why when I say I haven't played a real ST tournament in 13 years, I really haven't played in like 13 years. Because tournaments, I don't really do it anymore. Maybe for fun, I'll go play the ST tournament at Wednesday Night Fights, but I get bopped, 1-2 or whatever you want to call it, and I had my fill. It's hard to concentrate on a tournament for a long time unless I have like the rest.
Yeah.
So Yeah, hopefully
You are helping
that
out
answered your question.
Sharon, though.
Say again?
Oh, I just said sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna say that you are helping out Sharon though with some of the graphics and stuff, as far as I understand. So that's a plus that you're get your hand in there helping them out. So
Yeah, kind of got away from the whole graphic artist thing too. I used to do all the graphics for Level Up, then I got busy. But I'll tell you guys right now, my secret project is actually creating you a brand new graphics set for Super Turbo. You saw the teaser, and from that point on, I didn't have time to work on it. I'm like, crap, I need to get back to this. I have cool ideas, I just need to execute it. But my time is so strapped. I mean, that's why I want to talk to Serg, like, when are you guys doing this Queen of Noobs thing? What time works? And he actually, thank you, Serg, for working on my calendar and time frame and to help make sure I get into the tournament.
It's my
it helps
pleasure.
a lot.
I mean, knowing what you do, I figured that you were short on time. And number one, I thank you for, taking the time to hang out here with us and playing the tournament. And, I figured you were going to be rusty when you said that, hey, I'm not a noob, but, I'm not good because, A, I haven't played in 13 years. That's, why I said, hey, why not, and I'm glad I did so. And yeah, like I said, there's so many things that all of us can do on a Friday night, and I'm sure you have a whole bunch of projects and a whole bunch of things that are waiting for you to do. So I thank you for taking the time to hang out with us and play some games and have some fun and talk about the old times.
For sure, the timing was perfect. Because I'm actually leaving Sunday for Vegas to go to the NAB show. That is production Toys R Us for guys who are in production. You see all the cool gadgets and everything. So I'm doing that next week, which leads into a site visit for a project I had that weekend, and then the weekend after that is Texas Showdown and Vanguard, and I had to manage Vanguard from remotely because I'm going to be in Texas. Oof. So the next couple weeks is going to be tough. That's why when you said today, April 21st, let's do it, it's perfect for me. Let me get some games in and go from there.
Excellent. Well, hopefully this recharged and energized you, because you're gonna have quite a few weeks of crazy work ahead of you.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm sorry for the guys who had to play me and felt like I was too cheap. Just getting my rhythm back. I still miss DPs. I still miss some stupid stuff I should have done. But thank you for playing me today, guys. I really appreciate you dealing with my cheapness of old Sagat.
Old Sagat. Hey, never apologize for old Sagat.
Yeah, I remember playing you a few months back. You were almost there. I mean, you beat one of my
I do
characters.
remember.
I was like, oh, I know you have like the natural, like, you're there, like you could win the tournament. That's why we were predicting you to either win. So you got second. I mean.
Yeah. That Chun match got me. I had to bring my scrubby Honda to deal with DJ, but
that's a
it
weird
worked
counter.
until Chun came out.
That
was hard for me. Chun has always been a hard match. Geef and Balrog are kind of sucky for me too in ST.
Yeah, we all have our delicious matchups in life.
Man,
Tiger.
We have our sweet matches. We have our sour matches.
Right? Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you guys very much for joining us tonight here at Stadium Arcadium and playing with us. The Queen of Noobs number 11. 12 is going to be announced at some point in the future. And all the information you ever want about Monday Night Fightcade or Queen of Noobs is going to be at arcadium.com. And we say goodnight to all of you guys. Thank you all for playing and watching and kicking back and relaxing. Thank you very much to my co-commentator, Mr. Illegal Account.
Oh, thank you.
And of course, our guest commentators, Toshin and Asian Pikachu. Thank you guys also for joining us on Discord.
No problem.
And last but not least, Mr. ShinJN for joining us and for that awesome story time. Thank you.
This was fun. You guys have a good night.
Good night, guys.
All right. Good night, guys.